It's the end of January, guys. We're looking at around about the 26th of January today, and I am way behind, as you guys know from past videos. Okay, I wouldn't need to go into that, but what I'm going to do today is get my chilies sown. Like I said, normally I sow these around Christmas time, but I'm going to get them sown today, and then they're going to go into a tent with some lighting on, just to help sort of catch them up a little bit. Now, I kept my own seed last year from my spaghetti chilies, which I want as a world record, and I've also kept some from a sweet pepper and some from a habanero. So normally I would sow in a tray and then I would plant on to cells like this, but because I've got a lot of work I need to catch up, I'm going to go directly to the cells. Now what I have here is a mix. It's a seed mix, and I've added a load of perlite to it. Now if you can't get a seed mix or you don't have one, don't panic, guys. Just use a multi-purpose compost, a good one, sieve it out, and then add some perlite or some vermiculite or something like that, or some sharp sand, just to help you sort of put some aeration into it so that it doesn't compact down on you. So we just fill these cells up. Like I said, I'm just going to go direct to these cells and push it down, guys. I think a lot of people, they fill up their seed trays, and this is where they have the biggest problems. They don't compact our soil down. They fill it up like that, sow it in, think, oh, it's nice and fluffy, that'll do the seed good. But those air pockets in that soil can have an issue with pruning off of the root system, and then that's where you will get compactation as the water sits it down. And of course you get top heavy plants because they've got nothing to root into properly. So that's what we've done there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to sow, I've got some seeds here of one variety, and which is chili, and a couple of sweet bell peppers and what have you. So I'm probably going to sow 10 plants of each. Now what I will say to you, seeds come of all sizes. We've got these small ones here, and just as contrast, we've got a couple of bigger seeds here which are sweet peas, so you can see the difference. Now seed isn't hard to work out how to sow. As a rule of thumb, you want to be planting the seed twice the depth, planting the seed twice the depth of the seed, okay? So with these things like these chilies, really you only just want to be going just below the surface. So what we're going to do now, we're going to sink this compost down just a little bit, because a bit later on we're going to top it up. Now things like the sweet peas, you know, we'll need to do them a little bit later, and I'll show you that now in a moment. But for these chilies, it's just a case of, now we can lay one down and the reason I don't need 10 plants, but I'm doing 10, and if none strike, great. But I have tested this seed and it seems to germinate quite well, so that's all good. Right, so that's the first 10, and that is spaghetti, okay? This one I'm going to do 10 of, and this one is a variety called Golden Wonder, and it's a bell pepper. It's a cross between the California bell and another bell pepper which I'm unsure of the second parent. So there we have it. Okay, so we've got 10 of them as well. I'm just going to top that off with some perlite, guys. Some vermiculite. And we don't, the reason I'm using vermiculite rather than soil here is because The vermiculite will hold water, firstly. It'll help the seed when you're watering, and also it'll allow air and light to get through it. So it's a very good thing for topping seeds off. Now, earlier on in the year, if I wanted to if I was in a rush to get these going, I know I'm behind, but I'm not really in that much of a rush. If I was in a rush, I could have chitted those seeds. I could have taken, in fact, I'm going to chit some and I will show you the difference. I'm going to take a couple of these old trays. Okay, so what you need to do to chit them, guys, you need some kitchen towel. Just rip it off. I put a good bed down there. Okay, and where's my water? And we need to give that a good soaking. I'm going to use the spaghetti just to show you. And we're just going to sprinkle a couple of seeds like that, and now we're going to put some more kitchen towel on top of them, and we're going to wet that down as well. Make sure your water is room temperature, guys. All I'm going to do is balance another tray on top to act like a propagator. I'm going to put this in here now. Over the next few days they'll chit, and then we'll take them out and we'll just sow that into this. It's a very good way of dealing with seed because you know the seed that is actually germinated, so you don't get any blanks within your trays, whereas like doing it this way, I may get some misfires. So we're back here and just going to give it a little water over the top now, and this is tap water, which I've already spoken about in a previous episode. Although we store all our own rainwater here, for the seedlings, because of pathogens and what have you, we use tap water. That now goes into another tray like this one. And we stick a propagation lid over the top of it. And now we're done. And those seeds are in there. The only thing I haven't done, okay, which you must do, guys, because you'll end up not knowing where you are, and that is to label. Okay, so we've got our labels, Spaghetti and Golden Wonder. I'm going to actually lay them on the surface here, only because of the propagation lid, just like that. And we put the propagator on and we know exactly where they are now. Okay, and that's that done. We literally just need to come and put it in here. Now incidentally, we put our trays into tomato trays in here because I prefer to water from the bottom. It stops all the algae growth and things like that. So we stick those trays, this particular one is in its own tray anyway, but we stick them in trays and we can water from the bottom, and that way the compost can take as much as it likes, but we don't flood the plants with water, okay, because that can have a negative effect from drowning the seeds and what have you. It'll cause rot off, okay. Now once they have grown from there, what a lot of people do, they keep their chilies in plant pots, so we would literally just move them on. Now I like the square plant pots only because they fit the tomato trays I got, so I can maximize the amount of pots in there. With round ones you end up with all sort of gaps and things like that, okay. But once those cells are big enough, we'd move them on into subsequent square pots, right the way up to the point where we've got those, and then we end up in a big pot, and that's essentially what you do. So you keep moving them on. Now we can give these chilies mycorrhizal fungi, I'm obviously not going to at this stage, but when we transplant them on, I will show you that. Okay, so we've got a couple of other things that we're going to sow. Now these are some old root trainers. Now I've had these for years. I've got probably 4 or 5 loads of these, and they're very good because they literally just clip together, and if you look after them they will last, but if you bash them about and what have you, then they're not going to last. But as you can see, you know, it's in a good shape. Again, we're going to fill these ones with compost. Now these are great for beans, bean seed, things like that, and in fact we're going to do some beans as well. But they're also, oh, that one's come apart. Tell you what else they're also very good for is for things like broad beans and what have you. So literally, if you keep them stored flat through the winter, you'll have no problem at all with them. And stick them in. So the root trainers are full of soil, and I'm just planting in some broad beans into these. And the reason root trainers are good for beans is because legumes like to send a good root system down. Rather than going round and round, the root trainer will train that root to go down straight, and it's a really good way of growing them. Now, what I also like about these root trainers is the fact that they, once you've grown your plant and you need to transplant it, you can literally lay the plant on its side and open this up like a book and take the plant out. So there's as least amount of movement for the roots as possible, and that is good for them. So like I said, I stored these seeds in the shed. They're not the best. They had a little bit of moisture get to them, but they're okay. They still dry, but they were just showing a bit of a hue for a bit of mildew. I think would have taken them over if we hadn't got it sorted down. Right. Okay, so we've topped that up with compost. Next step is to give that a good watering. Like I said, these root trainers, all my beans are usually done in these. So but they're also very good for things, sowing things like sweet peas and stuff like that. So just clear off the edge, and now that is also, give it a shake, get the compost off. That's also now going to come in here. It's going to go up there, and all we need to do with that is label it again. So like I said, with these trays, they're great, these tomato trays, because you can literally just put a little bit of water in, just like this, and water all the plants in that tray, rather than, you don't want to put tons and tons in it, but just enough in the little bottom that compost can suck up any water that's there, and it's a good way to water from underneath. So as you see guys, sowing seeds isn't hard at all. Now what I would say to you is, just remember that rule: twice the depth of the seed. If it's a very fine seed, use vermiculite to cover it over. And incidentally, all the trays, pots and things like that they're using have all come from Oakland Gardens. They're a great company. They provide these products. They're really strong, you know, really strong pots. I mean, look at them. It's good quality, strong pots. They're not going to break, and they will last you years. So, and it's the same as well, even for the, you know, for the little ones. Look at it. It's a really good, strong pot. So you can use these time and time and time and time again. I'm an advocate of Oakland Gardens because the quality is superb, and you guys know I grow my potatoes in their buckets. The tomato trays are really handy for putting a tomato bag on, but they're also handy for things like this as well. So you can use the products for lots of different stuff. Anyway guys, if you want to get any of these products, the link will be in the description for Oakland Gardens. I'm not going to be sowing anything that really needs, you know, any warmth, because even though it's a beautiful day today, we could be in for another 2 months worth of snow. That leaves me to say thanks for viewing. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.